Today, we're diving into one of the most intense and, honestly, strangest stories you'll ever hear. It's a real high-stakes drama about justice, legacy, and some seriously clever deception, all coming from an ancient text. Let's get right into it.
So, we're not going to start at the beginning. Nope, we are jumping straight into the most dramatic moment imaginable. A patriarch delivering a death sentence on a member of his own family. Can you even imagine hearing those words? Burn her to death. It's so brutal, so final. And this is coming from Judah, the head of the family, talking about his own daughter-in-law, Tamar. And why? Because she's a widow and she's pregnant. To him, the only explanation is prostitution.
Okay, so this is the question at the heart of it all. How did things get this bad? To figure out how we got to this life or death moment, we have to rewind. We've got to go back to the beginning and see where it all went so wrong.
You'll see that this entire story, every single twist and turn, is built on a foundation of promises. Specifically, a series of promises that were broken, one after another, pushing a young woman into a corner she'd have to fight her way out of.
All right, so here are the main players in our drama. You've got Judah, the father, at the very top. Then there's Tamar, who marries into his family. Her first husband is the eldest son. But as you're about to see, tragedy hits this family fast and hard, and it sets off a devastating chain reaction.
Now, this is really, really important. You have to understand this one rule, because everything else hinges on it. Levirate duty was more than just a tradition. It was like a sacred social safety net. It meant that if a woman's husband died, his brother had to marry her to give her a child. This wasn't just about carrying on the family name. For a widow like Tamar, this was her entire security. It was her social standing, her future. Without it, she was basically left with nothing.
So, watch how this unfolds. Tamar's situation just gets worse and worse. First, her husband, dies. No problem, there's a system for this. So his brother, Onan, steps up. Except, he doesn't really. He goes through the motions but refuses to fulfill his actual duty. And then, he dies too. Now Judah is terrified. He's thinking, is there a curse on my family? He's afraid he'll lose his last son, Sheila. So he breaks the law himself. He tells Tamar to go home and wait for Sheila to grow up. But it's a lie. He has no intention of ever making good on that promise. He's effectively written her out of the family.
So, years go by. Tamar is waiting, and she finally realizes that the justice she's entitled to is never coming. So she decides she's going to have to get it herself. And her plan is one of the riskiest, most audacious gambles you can imagine.
This is the turning point for her. She sees that Judah's youngest son, Shelah, is now a man. The promise should have been fulfilled by now, but there's just silence. She's still a widow, stuck in her father's house. Judah might have forgotten his promise, but Tamar has definitely not forgotten the injustice. She is owed a legacy, and she is about to take matters into her own hands.
Look at how calculated this is. It's like a heist movie. First, she gets intel. She finds out Judah's travel plans. Then, she changes her appearance, taking off the clothes that scream grieving widow and putting on a veil to make herself completely anonymous. And finally, she picks the perfect spot, a crossroads where she knows he absolutely has to pass. Every single move is deliberate.
And the trap springs perfectly. The veil does its job. Judah has absolutely no clue who he's talking to. He just sees a woman by the side of the road and, in a moment of just staggering irony, he propositions the very daughter-in-law he cast aside and denied justice to.
Now this is the genius part of her plan. When he asks her price, she doesn't ask for money up front. She asks for a pledge, a security deposit. And look what she asks for: his seal, his cord, and his staff. These aren't just random items. They're basically his ID, his credit card, and his badge of office all rolled into one. His seal was his signature. His staff was a symbol of his authority as a leader. She's not just securing payment, she's securing undeniable proof.
With Judah's personal ID in her possession, Tamar vanishes. And now the stage is set for that final, explosive confrontation that we started with. 3 months go by. That's all the time it takes. Just enough time for her secret to become a very visible, very public fact. She's pregnant, and there's no hiding it. And here's the showdown. The news gets to Judah, and the hypocrisy is just breathtaking. the same man who just solicited a woman on the roadside sentences his own daughter-in-law to be burned alive for what he assumes is the same crime. But as they're dragging her out to be executed, she doesn't cry, she doesn't plead for her life, she presents evidence.
This is her checkmate moment. She sends the items to Judah with this simple, devastating question. Notice, she doesn't even have to accuse him. She just holds up a mirror and forces him to accuse himself in front of the very people he's leading. The proof is right there in his hands. It's his. And in that single instant, the whole story flips on its head. The person who was condemned becomes the hero, and the judge is revealed to be the guilty one.
And to his credit, Judah owns it. This is his public confession. He sees his stuff, he connects the dots, and he gets it. He admits, right then and there, that she is more in the right than he is. He understands that her wild scheme was a direct result of his failure, his broken promise.
And just like that, it's all over. The execution is called off. Tamar hasn't just saved her own skin, she has forced the truth out into the open for everyone to see. And in the end, Tamar gets everything she was denied, and then some. She gives birth to twin boys, Perez and Zerah, securing not just one heir, but two. Through her incredible courage and cleverness, she literally forced her way back into the family history, ensuring that her legacy, her story, would never be erased.
So, we're left with this really tough question, aren't we? Tamar broke the rules. She used deception. But she did it because the man in charge of upholding justice had failed completely. It really makes you think, is being righteous just about following the letter of the law, or is it about fighting for what is truly just, no matter how high the cost?